Can you hear me now? Let's see. Hear me now. Okay. I am new to this, so this is my first time. So now we're going to now get into it. Hello, everyone. Starting 7 minutes late. I am Brenna Carls. I am the CEO and founder of The Mortgage Shop and Financing Short-Term Rentals. So today we are going to go over HELOCs versus cash-out refinances versus refinances. If you were listening, drop where you were listening from in the comments so I can see them. We are going to get started in just a second. I want to make sure you can still hear me when I add this to the stage. So let's see. Idaho Falls. Hey, Steph, how are you? Meg, you may have to turn up your volume if you don't have any sound. Houston, Texas. Awesome. Okay. So first, I'm going to show you the pros and cons of a cash-out refinance, pros and cons of a HELOC. And yes, you can get them on second homes and investment properties. Most banks will not allow you to do this. We allow you to do this. And then I'm going to show you your refinance calculator. A lot of people have been waiting for this, for us to put it together. And it's going to go through whether you want to do a rate and term refinance, where that's just lowering your interest rate, how that compares to your current payment. We're going to show a cash out refinance, how that compares to your current payment. And then we're going to couple it with, what if you just did a HELOC? How does that compare to a cash out refinance? Which one will help you cash flow better? And so now you're going to be able to compare all of that in one fell swoop. I'm going to have questions at the end. If you want to put questions in as we go, you can definitely do that if you feel that you are going to forget your question. But let's just get started. So I'm going to add this to the stage. Okay. So cash out refinances. So pros, lower rate option than a HELOC, obviously. Lower payment per month. So usually when you have a cash out refinance, your payments will probably be a little lower if you're getting a large HELOC than just a HELOC plus your current mortgage payment. It can help you remove PMI as well. So private mortgage insurance. So if you initially got a loan and it had private mortgage insurance on it, or PMI, you can actually, if you refinance, it's going to help you get that PMI off, or cash out refinance as well. So you're getting cash out and you're also removing your PMI, which is nice. Rate is fixed. So usually conventional loans, unless you're using like a portfolio product with a bank or something like that, will have a 30-year fixed mortgages. So you don't have to worry about them being adjustable or anything like that. Cons, it is a lower loan to value limitation. So usually for investment properties and second homes, cash out refinances are 75% loan to value across the board. Primary residences, I believe you can go 80, 85, 90 even maybe sometimes on some products. But if you're looking for your investment properties, which a lot of you are, or vacation homes, it's going to be 75% loan to value across the board. So if you need a little bit more than that, your HELOC is going to be your best option because it's going to offer a higher loan to value. So now let's look at the HELOC pros and cons. So HELOC pros, higher loan to value options. So like I said, 75% loan to value for your investment property and second home. For HELOCs, you're going to see up to 85% for second homes, up to 90% for primary, and then up to 80% for investment only combined loan to value. So that might be your best bet if you're teetering on that loan to value ratio where you're not really hitting what you need to for a cash out refinance. Cons, it is going to be higher in rate. Naturally, pulling equity out of your investment properties is just going to be a higher rate, specifically since that's all it is based on. It can have a variable rate. So some of them do have variable rates depending on which option you choose. It does have a lower max debt to income threshold. So while conventional may allow you to go up to 50% debt to income ratio, which is the max debt to income ratio, by the way, for conventional, HELOCs can have a cap at 43 to 45% debt to income ratio. So just keep that in mind. Can be limited to one borrower only. So again, we have multiple HELOC products for you. Some of them only allow one borrower on the loan. Some of them allow multiple borrowers. It just depends on which type of HELOC that you get. And if you need a HELOC, you can always reach out to us. I'm going to put our contact information, everything like that, in at the end, so you can do that. And then they do have minimum draw requirements. So minimum draw requirements at closing, which means you have to draw at least X amount. For us, it's at least $150,000 at closing. Now, for primary residences, you can probably go get a HELOC at your bank without even drawing anything if you just want to have that as like an emergency backup plan. But if you're really wanting to invest more, getting that equity out of your property is a great way. Everybody says, Brenna, how do your clients, expand their portfolio quickly? Like, I really want to do this. Well, they've got a lot of equity in their properties, and we make sure that the numbers still work for them. And then if they do, we pull that equity out so they can go buy another property and cash flow more. So there's that. Questions to ask yourself. And if you want to take a picture of this, obviously this is recorded. Obviously, we're going to post the replay. But this is what you need to ask yourself when deciding what you want to do, how you want to take that money out. So how many times in the next 3 years do I think I will need to utilize my equity in a property? I have a client that says, I really only want to pull one time to get another property. That's all I want. I don't really want another property for the next few years. Well, a cash out refinance made more sense for them. They had a low loan to value already. They're going to pull out cash. Their payment was actually going to be less than what it was currently. So a cash out refinance made total sense for them. But if you're going to pull from it 6 months, you're going to pay that off. And then another 6 months, you want to pull from that again to purchase another property. That's going to be a HELOC for you. So that's why I tell you to ask yourself that question. If you start working with me and my team, you know that I first say, what are your goals now? What are your goals in the next 3 years? Because it really does make a difference. So please keep these questions in mind. Will the cash I pull out make me more money than what it will cost? I am specifically doing this for all of you that are investors. So you want to enter in the new proposed payment in your pro forma. If you are doing a cash out refinance, you will take your mortgage payment out of your pro forma. You will replace it with a new one. If you are doing a HELOC, you just add that monthly minimum payment on the HELOC to your pro forma as well as your current mortgage payment. Make sure those numbers work. If you are pulling cash out and the property that you're pulling cash out on is going negative and you're not going to be making that much from the purchase that you're going to do with those funds, then it really doesn't make sense. You want to make sure either the property you're purchasing is going to cash flow pretty well to offset it, and you also want to make sure you're not putting yourself in a bind in the property you're pulling equity out of. You don't want it to go high negative and just bank and hope that a property does well. So that's an important question as well. Think monthly payment there. And then the third question, do I have enough equity for the amount of cash I am needing? If not, am I okay taking on debt for a lesser amount? So if you wanted to pull out $150,000 or $200,000, but you can only pull out $80,000, is that enough for you to move the needle? If not, is it worth it for you to pull out to accrue that new debt? What can you put that towards? Would it be a lower purchase price at that point? Are you okay with a lower purchase price to move that needle? At the end of the day, each of these questions should be leading you towards, is this moving the needle to the monthly income that I'm making? And that is the question you need to keep in mind every time you run these numbers. Cash out refinance versus HELOC. Okay, here's a little diagram of if this, then probably this. And I kind of mentioned this in the previous slides, but here's like a basic visual for you if you want to have this. I'm all about visual. I love easy to look at kind of things that are kind to my eyes. So if needing cash out once, compare cash out refinance to a HELOC payment and pick whichever is lowest. So I'm giving you exactly what to do once I unveil this refinance calculator. If needing cash out once, compare cash out refinance monthly mortgage payment, that new payment, to a HELOC payment, and whichever is lowest at that point. If needing cash out and would like to utilize it multiple times, consider a HELOC and make sure cash flow is still there once adding the new payment per month to your pro forma. If HELOC payment combined is more than cash out refinance payment, so that means your current mortgage payment plus your new HELOC payment. If that is more combined than the cash out payment, weigh the importance of being able to pull multiple times as opposed to once, because if you're going to pay a lower payment and cash out, maybe it is just worth it than that one time to pull out once. Then make sure cash flow is still there with the higher payment if you do choose to do that HELOC on top of your current mortgage payment. Does that make sense? If you have questions, put them in the chat. But this is just a friendly diagram kind of explaining what you all need to process in your head to make sure you're making the best decision for your personal goals. Somebody might have a HELOC, knock it out of the park, but yours is going to be better as a cash out refinance because it's a lower payment and you need that cash flow to hit a certain amount per month. Okay. So now I am going to stop sharing that and let's present my screen. Ta-da! It sounds way more exciting than it looks. I'm very excited about it. This is our new refinance calculator with cash out versus HELOC comparison. Thank you to my friend Eric Corson for helping me develop this. He basically took a crash course in origination to help me come up with the different options for you. So you, in layman's terms, can just see the difference in payment options. So this is going to be a quick tutorial for you. And then I'm going to plug in some numbers so that you can see. And then we're going to go through questions. If you want to throw your personal scenario out, I can do it live time in this calculator app. If you want to ask any questions about a refinance guidelines or HELOC guidelines, we're going to go over that too. So over here for you, if you don't know your current monthly principal and interest payment, remember I'd said monthly principal and interest. I did not say monthly mortgage payment because some of you have escrows and we do not need to include taxes and insurance in our calculation because we need to just compare apples to apples, current principal and interest. Your taxes and insurance are pretty much going to stay the same. We don't need to be putting that in our calculation. So if you just don't know it, you don't have a mortgage statement, if you do remember your purchase price, interest rate, down payment, when you funded your loan, you can put that over here and it will calculate it for you. A genius little way of showing what your monthly principal and interest is. So let's say your purchase price was $750. And then your interest rate was I don't know, 6.5. And then you had 30-year term, down payment was 20%. And is that right? Right. Down payment. I don't know why that's not. Okay. 730 down payment. So down payment would be on that. Eric, I think I found a bug in our calculator. 150,000. Okay. Loan amount. Yeah, we're going to have to play with that because it's not working. But you will get an updated copy of what it is working. So maybe if we do 2/12/2021, maybe it'll do that. Nope. I don't know why. Maybe it needs to show the formula. Nope. Okay, either way, let's say your payment over here, the copy that you'll receive once you download it will have all of this figured out. Yeah. So let's just say your payment, I'll calculate it manually really quick. If you had a 750 minus $600,000 loan amount, 7%, that would be a $3,991.81 principal and interest payment. Round up to 2. Now, let's say you want cash out. Let's say you want $100,000 out. Okay. The amount to refinance, let's say, since that was 2021, we're in 2025. Let's say you owe $570. All right. Let's say your new interest rate's going to be 7.25. Term in years, and we're going to say 30. So your new payment will be $4,570.58 compared to $3,992. This is with cash out. If you don't want cash out, you simply just don't put anything there. And then look at that. You have a higher interest rate than what you started out with. I told you over here is going to be like a 6.5. And you had a principal and interest of $3,992. It's hard to understand why, because you're like, I have a higher interest rate. It's kind of like compound interest and how that works. We are recasting what you owe on the property now over 30 years. So you owe less now than you did at closing when you closed on the property. So even if you have a higher interest rate, your payment is still going to be lower. So this is a big thing that I want to show you whether or not you want to refinance. So people that say, well, I have a 5% interest rate, I don't want to refinance. Please use this calculator because you may show a lower mortgage payment per month and you don't even realize it. It's because it thins it out again over 30 years of what you currently owe as opposed to what you had when you closed on the property. So now let's do $100,000 cash again. Now that payment's $4,570.58. So then you would just do your little math and say $4,570.58 minus your current mortgage payment. $4,570 minus $3,992 is $578.58 extra a month. So getting $100,000 out to put into a new property is going to cost you $578.58 extra per month. Is that okay? Is your pro forma on this specific property going to be okay with that? And then also, let's consider the cash flow that you will receive from this new property you're buying with this as your down payment. Probably what, a $500,000 home if you're putting down 20%. Maybe sellers are paying closing costs. We'll just keep it simple like that. $500,000. What is that going to cash flow? You've got to run the numbers. So you want to go with somebody, you know, like STR Insights or AirDNA. There's so many tools out there for you now to see what your, you know, projected revenue is. Are you a freaking badass super host? Will your numbers be a little bit better? And you know they will. Are you renovating the property? There's so many things that go into it. So you just want to check on that and see. $578 a month is not a lot of money at all to have $100,000. If you went and got an unsecured line of credit for $100,000 just out of your bank without it being a HELOC, your payment would be very high on that. So now let's look at the HELOC option. So the term in years, you're going to have options here. You're going to have 15, 20, and 30-year options. Usually I'm just going to do 30 because you can amortize it over 30. Your interest rate is going to be higher on a HELOC. Let's say it's 8.5%. Your monthly HELOC payment for $100,000, it's going off of this, is $768.91. So That new payment is $4,760. Now you get to compare all three. This is beautiful. You see that this one is in green because it's telling you what's going to be your lower monthly payment per month between these two. However, again, remember I said ask yourself these questions and know your goals, because this is $4,760. That's going to be, let's see how much higher that's going to be than your current. $4,760. Just leave it at that. $3,992. That's $768 extra a month. But what comes along with this? You get to multiple times pull out cash. You can utilize it, so it may make sure you understand your goals. If you only want to pull once, then the no-brainer option is to do this cash out refinance. If you're planning on buying 2 to 3 properties and you want to utilize this over and over again, you need to do the HELOC, even though it's, what, $200 more per month. So this is adding your current monthly mortgage payment to your HELOC payment, okay? And that's why we did it this way, so you can compare apples to apples. If you don't need a HELOC, you don't even use this. You just, okay. You don't even use this. You just do, again, the rate and term comparison. This is great for you all that have a low interest rate and you just want to see, just put your stuff in and see if it's going to be better for you. It may surprise you. I'm doing 2 refinances right now with somebody that had pretty sure it was like a 4.5% interest rate. One had a 5.25. They're like, we absolutely don't want to get rid of this. I showed them the differences before I made this calculator so people can do it themselves at home. And they were like, oh, wow, I didn't think of that, because your debt gets skinnier from when you close and it's re-thinned out over 30 years again. So if you think about it that way, then this will make more sense to you of why this is lower than this mortgage payment here. So I am going to stop sharing and I'm going to now open it up for questions. And so I do have questions up here. Let's see. My loan started on March 2023. I have a 401 and monthly mortgage is $3,311.62. So, all right, let's share my screen again. I'm going to go through this with everybody. So, need some music in the background instead of my elevator singing. Okay. So, you said your monthly mortgage payment is $3,311.62. I don't think it's going to be worth it for you, Marcel, because it's within 2 years. It's less than 2 years since you did it, but we'll see. And you have 401. Depends on what your property's worth, though, right? Because your loan to value is going to be less than what it was, which is a good thing. But I don't know what you owe. So if you want to put what you owe, right now I will just put in here that 401. I'm going to put that it's a 7. I'm just going to put 7%. So yeah, I mean, it depends on where your loan to value is. It's showing you if you did just a normal rate and term, that your payment would be less per month than that $3,312. So there that is. Now let's say you don't want any closing costs. This is what I suggest to you all. Don't just put in what you owe. Put in what your total fees will be for the refinance. And so let's just say it's going to be around, I don't know, 2.75%. And that's including title fees and everything. Let's say, let's just put 410 just in case. So you're still better than this. So you would just say, okay, my mortgage payment right now is $3,312 minus $2,796.92, and that is saving me $515 a month. That's as simple as it gets, guys. Anybody can do this. We've made it for you to be able to do this. I will make sure this portion right here is correct after we hit it. So, all right. Do you have to do an appraisal to know what your home is currently worth? So, kind of. It depends on if you just want to get an opinion of value. You can always get one of your realtors in the area's opinion of value for it. You can get an appraisal on the side for yourself if you want to pay an appraisal, if you just want to see what it is, or if you go through the refinance process or HELOC process with us, yes, we will do an appraisal on that to see what it's worth. So any type of loan you're going to get essentially would have to do an appraisal. Some HELOCs will allow desktop appraisals. Most of the time on investment properties, they have to do a normal full appraisal. Okay. We have a HELOC in our primary home that was paid off. We used this to buy our first short-term rental. We would like to buy another short-term rental. What is the best way to finance short-term rental number 2? Great question. So it depends. I would have to talk to you for about 20 minutes to figure out, where you're at. Probably just 10 minutes. What your current goals are. How many properties are you wanting? Do you have cash on hand as opposed to that HELOC? Will your debt to income ratio support you pulling out new debt from that HELOC as a down payment option? Let's say in a perfect world that your debt to income ratio is fine if you pulled out cash. That's the avenue you want to go, is pulling out that from your HELOC for your down payment. Best way to finance short-term rental number 2 is to draw those funds. You would let us know what your minimum monthly payment amount is. We add that to your proposed debt. And then we qualify you for a conventional loan or DSCR, whatever you want to do. And we send that to you and your agent of choice that you're working with. Now, keep in mind that you want to make sure that the numbers are working for you. So again, I'm going to preface, when you pull out those HELOC funds, if it's on your primary residence, this is my personal rule. You don't have to listen to me. But my personal rule is if it's on your primary, you want to make sure your W-2 or self-employed income normally can cover that payment that you're doing. Okay. Then you want to see how much that property you're going to purchase with it will cash flow. Then I want you to compare. Let's say your payment is going to be $500 a month and you're going to cash flow $1,500 a month. Well, guess what? Now you're still adding an additional $1,000 to your monthly income, which is what? Moving the needle to your next goal of building that generational wealth. If it's not moving the needle, you don't need to do it. So just keep that in mind. So that's what I would suggest for you without knowing your entire story. If your home is paid off, is there one that is better than the other? Yes, depending on your goals. So again, I'm going to pull this up. Let me see is it this one? How many times in the next 3 years do you think you will need to utilize the equity for your property? Will the cash you pull out make you more money than it'll cost? Do I have enough equity for the amount of cash I'm needing? So the first question, Joel, is the one that you want to look at. How many times in the next 3 years do I think I will need to utilize my equity in a property? If you're just wanting to do it once to purchase another property, let's just look at that cash out refinance. It's going to be much lower for you. Depending on the amount you need to pull out. If you're wanting to purchase multiple properties, pay it off, pay some off, get some out, blah, blah, then we will want to look at that HELOC for you. So you always want to ask yourself these goals right here. And make sure you keep that top of mind to make sure, because I'm going to ask you these same questions when you come to me. So we'll have to figure it out one way or the other to make sure that you are picking the best option for yourself. Make sense? Okay. Interest rate right now is 7.625% for Marcel. Advise when we will be a good time to refinance. 7.625. Let's just do a 7.375, depending on your loan to value. It honestly depends on your loan to value. And so you have to get that interest rate quote from us. So you can definitely reach out to us and get that interest rate quote to see what it would be. This is now going to be a personal question. This isn't one that I put on this sheet, but I probably should. How much money do you want to save per month? Is $300 enough for you? Do you want to save at least $500 before you refinance? Do you want to save at least $1,000 before you refinance? Think carefully on that one, because it's going to take you a long time to hit those numbers with our rate environment. They are slowly decreasing. They're the lowest they've been since December 18th, but they're not going to hit that, large mark with you just closing on that property less than 2 years ago. Okay, let's see. I'm going to move. I have a short-term rental with no mortgage, but I am a foreign national with no credit in the U.S. So you have a short-term rental here in the U.S. We can do foreign national loans, and there's no refinance option really for you right now, I don't think. I'd have to check with the DSCR loans. They will not do HELOCs. We do now have a HELOC DSCR. That is only for U.S. citizens, unfortunately. So we would probably have to look at DSCR cash out for you as a foreign national. Can I finance or have a HELOC? Oh, yep, just answered you. Okay, so that's all the questions that I have right now. Feel free to continue asking questions. Joel, also wanted to mention, if your home is paid off, remember this is a HELOC is a second lien loan, because the first mortgage takes lien priority, so your normal mortgage. If you don't have anything on your property and you get a HELOC, that will be first lien, which obviously has first lien priority because there's nothing else there. If you ever decide then you want to do a cash out refinance, just know that they have to contact your HELOC servicer and say, hey, we're the big boys now in the seat. We're taking lien priority, sign off on this. And they can do that. It shouldn't be any issue, but I just wanted to let you know that that's how that works. What is the rate and loan to value for a DSCR foreign national product? Depends on your credit score, loan to value, DSCR. So now I'm going to put up some banners. If you want to get in contact with us for any of your deals, you can schedule a call here at mortgageshopmlo.com. You can, if you'd rather not schedule a call and just email us your situation, you can email us at info@mortgageshop.co, not .com. Emphasis on the .co. If you want to keep up with rate market updates, I do these weekly on Instagram. They are shared to Facebook, and then we're starting to put them in our YouTube. But you will see them first and foremost show up in and on Instagram. So you will follow financing short-term rentals, so financing.short.term.rentals on Instagram. We're creating this whole thing, as you can see in the top portion of the screen, financing short-term rentals. If you are not part of our financing short-term rentals Facebook group, Ray, my admin, will put that in the chat as well in the comments for you all to just click that link and be able to join that group. I am the one that answers all of the financing questions in there. If it's a question that I don't have expertise on, like tax questions, we have all of those experts in there as well. We have CPA experts. We have sub-2 financing experts. We have me for everything else. We have realtors in the business that's been in the industry before short-term rentals were cool. So make sure you join that Facebook group once he posts that in the comments. So I will keep this one up here so you guys can schedule a call. And then we'll also, if you'd rather just call, you can call if you'd rather not schedule and you just want to call, just call that 800-816-7982 for us. Monday through Saturday, all day, every day. We're here with bells on. Yep. So that's it for today, guys. You will need to click the link in the comments to download that refinance calculator. This is crucial for your numbers. I promise you the numbers will surprise you no matter what. Whether it's rate and term refinance will be awesome for you, or cash out refinance is probably more up your alley than a HELOC that you were thinking of, and vice versa. Everybody's going to be different. The only thing that you probably will need help on is the interest rate for each. So feel free to, one of these options right here, feel free to schedule a call or call us or email us for an interest rate quote specified to your needs. Because again, remember, credit score, loan to value, cash flow, all of that makes a difference in the type of loan that you get and interest rate. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Next week, we are going to be talking about the 10% down DSCR loan and how people are getting this. Yes, it is a thing. No, it's not a scam. I will go over it in detail, how we can do this, how you can do this, and the guidelines around it, and all that fun stuff. So I will talk to you guys soon. See ya.